I had a hard time sleeping last night while I was thinking of what I wanted to say today because there are so many issues that need to be addressed when it comes to Measure 80 and why we need to vote yes. There are so many compelling reasons that this is good for Oregon. But I decided I wanted to focus on something that to me is so basic and so important and so inclusive with protecting our children, and that is providing their basic needs. And how do we do that as parents? As a single mom, I struggled working for less than what I needed to get by. And I know that in Oregon, a lot of us are struggling now. And the basic thing that we need to provide for our children is food and shelter. Without good jobs, without sustainable jobs, we can't do that. And I believe that Measure 80, when it's enacted, will provide and create jobs for us that we don't even know the expanse of what that can be. Not only in the cannabis industry, which I'm not even really going to touch on because I think that's a separate issue, but I want to talk about the jobs that are going to be generated when industrial hemp is reintroduced to our state. Thank you. I used to live out in southeastern Oregon, and I used to have to drive through a little logging town called Chiloquin. That town is dead. There are huge empty buildings that have tons of machinery that is rusted and dormant because the timber industry has died in Oregon. There are ranchers and farmers out there who are living off of state services because they can't grow the kind of crops they need to grow or raise the animals they need to raise to make the money that they need to survive. If we are to reintroduce industrial hemp into that community, those towns will come alive again. Those people will have jobs. Those people are you. Those people are me. I've been looking for a job for a year and a half. I got one yesterday, I'm happy to say. But the point is, what about everybody else? What about, beyond the agricultural jobs that industrial hemp will provide, there will be tons of secondary businesses that will be opening up because as we make more money, we spend more money. There'll be new restaurants, new places to go, new things to do. There will be secondary industry to the agricultural industry because those industries are going to need the support of administrative assistants like me. They're going to need the support of all kinds of businesses that will provide jobs that, if you use your imagination and imagine it with me, it can be so great and so fabulous. And so that is the main reason why I would like to encourage you all, as parents, as mothers, as fathers, to vote yes for Measure 80. Let's change the paradigm. Let's show the rest of the country what we can do. Imagine if we could start bringing in the $300 million that is being made on the hemp industry. I had to take some notes because I knew I wouldn't remember these numbers, and I want to make sure I tell them to you properly. There are over 25,000 known applications for hemp. 25,000. That's a job for everybody in my hometown, if just for one application. The food and fiber uses of hemp in the United States have increased by 300% in the past few years. 300% is phenomenal. That is incredible growth, and that's just starting out. They're still calling it a marginal resource. Once they figure out what we can really do with it, that 300% is gonna explode. The combined food and body care industry for hemp in 2010 was $40.5 million. Imagine what that could do for Oregon. Imagine what that could do for our children, for our schools. It's mind-blowing that we can't do this. We're the only industrialized nation in the world that does not produce industrial hemp. And it's time for it to end, and your yes vote on Measure 80 can make that happen. Another important thing to note is that this food and body care from hemp is increasing by 10% since 2009. So at 10% increases over the last 2 years, we're already looking at another 5 million to that industry. Do the math, y'all. It's pretty clear that we need to have this kind of thing happening here in Oregon, that too many of us are unemployed and our children suffer when we don't have jobs. If our children don't have a place to sleep, if our children don't have food to eat, how can we expect them to succeed in school? How can we expect them not to go look for ways to self-medicate that may not be safe? We can't. So we need to have these jobs. It needs to happen. The Canadian hemp seed business, it was $34 million. In 2010, they exported more than $10 million of hemp seeds to the United States. What if that $10 million came to Oregon? What could we do with that, you guys? Everything. And how could we protect our children with that money? We certainly could. Couldn't we provide better education? Couldn't we do what we need to do, which is prepare them for the future? If our children can't read and write because our schools have no money, how can we expect them to be world leaders when they grow up? We can't. We need to pass Measure 80, and we need to do it now. And if I can impress one thing upon you today, it would be to go talk to somebody that maybe you're a little nervous about talking to about this, and tell them why you think it's important. Because I know that's what I'm doing, and I'm hoping that between us all, we can make this happen in November. Thank you very much.